Recording. Very good morning to all. Am I clearly audible? If yes, please confirm it into the live chat so that I can go ahead with the discussion on the TYBSc. Just a minute. Okay. So I can't see that everyone has joined. Let's everyone join, then we can start. Or shall we start? You all can reply to me on this. Let's wait for two another minutes so that everyone will join. Okay, thank you, Uda, for confirmation that my voice is clear. So, shall we start now? Let us start with the paper one first. Now, see, student, while starting, I will be giving you the marking scheme also. So, my suggestion is that those who all are watching the stream, they should sit with their handbooks. Okay, you should have your handbooks. You should have pencil in your hand, and you will be marking all the important points. Now, in this particular lecture, those who are expecting hey, ma'am is going to teach entirely your paper 1 and paper 2 will immediately quit the stream because I am not at all going to teach the entire paper 1 and paper 2. In this particular stream, I am very clear to all that I am going to discuss how you all are going to write your paper. Okay, so I'm going to give you tips, but before that, I will give you some important point that you have to follow before entering into the practical exam hall. First, most important thing is that you will be carrying your certified journal, and for paper 1 everyone must have their field report. If you have not visited any field visit, so in that case contact your subject teacher and ask her. She may give you to visit so and so particular area. With her concern, you have to immediately do the field visit, because for entry into the laboratory you must have your field report, and you will be writing the field report on the field trip which was conducted by college, and you were absent, you will be in a problem. Okay, you should not write the wrong report, you should write the correct report. May teacher ask you to go into the nearby surrounding and observe the animals and whatever. I will not have a discussion on it, but definitely the student, those who have skipped their field visit due to some reason, they must immediately contact the subject teacher and make the field report, because field report is must, like your journal, and journal must be certified. In case for any reason you forgot to certify your journal or whatever is the reason, make sure before exam you will contact your subject teacher and you will certify your journal. So first most important point what I have told is your certified journal must be certified. Second most important thing is you must have your college ID, because till now I don't think you have your hall ticket. If you have hall ticket, well and good, carry your hall ticket, but your ID is must. Okay, carry the ID. Make sure you will not have any smartwatch, mobile, or any gadget with you. Even the earpod. Avoid carrying this. No study material should be with you. And when you are entering into the laboratory, definitely you know the rule that you must have your Madhya. Madhya, understand. I didn't understand the query. Madhya cannot hear or write in the chat box. Huda, as you can write or hear, she can also. Tell her to try. Resolve this on your level. If not, then post again. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, see, the most important thing I was telling you, second most important thing is your ID. Okay, everyone must carry their ID, and avoid talking into the laboratory. Don't talk. There is no need. You you are talking and you will say to the examiner, ma'am, I was asking this, that. No, sorry. In exam room, you should concern with your practical only. पेपर वन में तो इतना नहीं होता है, but we have observed in the case of paper two, when you are going on the practical table, I don't understand what you are talking. By university rules, you are provided with a protocol. Then why there is a need to talk? No talking. Absolute no talking. Okay. So avoid talking. Then next point. Let us come on the third most important point, that entry into the exam hall will be given before the time. So make sure you all will be coming before. Now see, university has already given us the time. The time is already given in your syllabus copy only. The timing is 9:30 to 2:30. So make sure that Huda, no more discussion on this particular point. Ask her question and you only type what is her query. Okay. Now let's go ahead. Next most important thing is that your exam is at 9:30. So make sure you will be in the premises at 8:30. Alright? Everyone should come, and entry into the exam hall is at 9 o'clock, as mentioned in your university scheme. Okay, so make sure that you will be well before time, and if any other type of problem is there, which I had discussed in the earlier, say example, your field book is not corrected, your journal is not certified, so make sure in that case you will contact your teacher before 2 hours only, because they may also be busy, they may also have allotted duties. Okay, so let's go ahead on the discussion on the practical. These are the some important point which you need to remember for paper 1 as well as the paper 2. Now we will go ahead on the paper 1. Now see students, I am going to give you marking scheme. You have to note it in your handbook. Okay, let us start. This is your question paper which you will be getting on getting from the University of Mumbai. This is given in your handbook last page. Okay, so take out that. Now I am going to explain question wise. Question number 1, identify, classify, giving reason. Question number 1 is identify, classify, giving reasons. Now see, in that A. A is, you have the urochordata, cephalochordata, or stachodermy or cyclostomata. So I will say overall these all animals are the organata, right? So in A, you will be given any one animal from this group: urochordata, cephalochordata, or stachodermy, cyclostomata. Now how you are going to write the classification for this? For this, you will be writing the classification as given in your handbook. Just a minute. This is our paper 1 handbook. Now, this way, you will be writing your classification. Say example, in oikopleura is asked. So, how you will, what is given? Identify, classify, giving reason. So for correct identification, children, you will be getting 1 marks. Okay, for correct identification. Say example, the oikopleura photo was shown and you have correctly identified that it is the oikopleura. So you will getting 1 marks. And after that, correct classification with reason, because here, see here, no description is mentioned. What usually students do, they describe it. No need to describe. You will be writing only classification up to the genus. Okay, someone was asking up to what I have to write the classification. Up to the genus you will be writing the classification. Phylum, group, subphylum, whatever points are given. In some case, some important point were missing in that, right? So I had given it into the regular practical. So I hope you all remember those points. You will be adding those. In some cases, the super class, which was very important, that was not given. So that I have already given. So here you will be writing the phylum, phylum chordata. So why it is chordata? Group craniata, why craniata? I hope जितने भी regular students थे, they all know it very well, because in the regular lecture and practical ये giving reason जो है आप लोगों को बहुत बार पढ़ाया गया है, इनफैक्ट आई विल से रटाया गया है. सो आई डोंट थिंक एनी प्रॉब्लम in writing the classification giving reason to my children, right? So let us go ahead. So see, A part only we have done. Question number 1, A part we all have done. In that we have seen कि अग्नता से कोई एक animal आएगा, and in that animal you have to identify, classify, giving reason. In identification of the animal, you will be getting 1 marks for correct identification, and after that, writing the classification with the reason, you will be getting 2 marks. Say, you have written phylum, phylum chordata, why it is chordata, जो कि हमारे already handbook में दिया हुआ है, and all point you will be writing. Only genus का जो है आप reason नहीं लिखो. Now come on the second. Second is very 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 different than the A one. ए में तो आपको हैंडबुक का ही रहेगा. इन द बी यू विल बी हैविंग द एनिमल, नोवल एनिमल. अब यहाँ पर इट कैन बी एनीथिंग, इट कैन बी अ फोटो, इट कैन बी एनी एग्जिस्टिंग प्रिजर्व स्पेसिमेन फ्रॉम द कॉर्डेट, and you have to state its class giving reason. Now here you are not asked to write the entire thing, okay? Now here you, for identification of class, say example, आपको जो है squirrel का फोटो दे गया. I think squirrel is there in your syllabus. It will be out of your syllabus from the theory out and this practical. तो दोनों के अलावा रहेगा. तो I'm just giving you example. The squirrel is there. So you have identified it very correctly. से example किसी ने नहीं भी correctly identify किया, but you identify the class mammalia correctly, so you will get 1 marks. Is that clear? If you could not identify the animal correctly, but you identify the class correctly, so then also you will be getting 1 marks. Okay, marks will not be deducted, but make sure that the class is correct. If you identify the animal correctly, but you have written the wrong class, you will get 0. Because here the class is most important. Now after that you have to give the reason for justification of that particular class. Why this particular animal belongs to that particular class, that you have to write. Now you know each and every class have some justification. That only we learn in paper 1. So for that you will be getting 1 marks. So if question number 1 is clear to all, just give a thumbs up so that I can go ahead with the question number 2. Okay, question number 1, if you have any doubt, please raise your question into the chat box, so I will clarify that. So no doubt, shall we go ahead? Okay, let's move on the question number 2. Question number 1 was for 6 marks. So now we will move on the question number 2, which have actually in paper 1, this is the major question, okay, because this is for the 15 marks, and you will for identifying 15 specimen, you identifying 5 specimen, you will be getting the 15 marks. So that means each specimen have the 3 marks. Okay, now here identify, you have to identify that particular animal, you have to classify plus describe, but here you only need to write the correct classification, no need to give the justification of that classification. जैसे कि previous question में we have given the justification, भाई phylum है, chordata है, why it is chordata, acraniata, why it is acraniata. Here you don't need to write that. Only you will be identifying animal, you will be writing the classification, as well as you have to describe the animal. Now in the description you will be writing the characteristic of that particular animal. Okay, if you want to add one point, say example, you have a time and you know very well what is the habit and habitat size, and you can go ahead with that. But here in the description, basically you should write the characteristic of that particular animal. All right, so in that, a specimen will be from the Pisces. Now see here, for correct identification you will have 1 marks, because see we have identified, classified and described. So identification 1 marks, classification 1 marks, description 1 marks. Okay. So here basically correct identification. Now see, this is from your syllabus. So correct identification means correct specimen name, the scientific name of that particular specimen is expected, that you should know the name as well as the scientific name of that particular animal. So specimen A will be from the Pisces, B amphibian, C reptilia, D will be from aves, E will be from mammals. Okay, so here you make sure that you will be writing, identifying correct animal, avoid doing the mistake. Now see, whenever we are writing the scientific name, basic thing you forget in the exam, that scientific name first letter should be capital and it should be underlined, and second will start with the small letter and that also will underline, and both you will give the separate underline. Small things you forget in the exam. You have complete 1 marks only for writing the name of the specimen. Okay, so whenever you are writing, make sure that you will be writing it correctly. Alright, let us go ahead on the question number 3. Do you have any doubt in question number 2? If not, we can immediately go ahead on the question number 3. I don't want to take much of your time because I want you all to prepare for your exam, utilize your time in preparation of your exam. So better if you will go ahead on this discussion. So if you don't have any question, I can go ahead on the question number 3. क्वेश्चन नंबर 3, many of you are asking मैम इसमें क्या है, कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, राइट. क्वेश्चन नंबर 3 is see, in question number 3, study of shark with the help of specimen, photograph, simulation, so anything will be there. Now see, in this particular case there will be two type of option. Maybe they may give you on screen the diagram like this, and they may ask you that redraw it and write the labels of it. That may be one case, but majority of the time they ask draw neat and label diagram of the given system, majority of the time. And see here, an anatomical description or maybe the taxonomical description is expected that the student will write about it. You will get 2 marks for correct label diagram, for drawing the diagram, and its anatomical description, or if it is taxonomic, actually usually taxonomical description nahi hota hai, only anatomical description which is given in our syllabus, and its significance, that means about this particular system you will be getting the 2 marks. So it is expected that whatever way, if they will ask you draw the neat and label diagram, or they may show you the diagram and they may ask you to redraw and label it. So you have to prepare in your mind that I have to practice the digestive system, urinogenital system, heart and aortic arches. This three systems from the beginning, from the first lecture, I am telling you to practice the diagram, because as if you have to draw it in the theory. So this three diagram for exam, for this particular practical exam, this three diagram only required to practice. Now urinogenital system में दो diagram है, heart and aortic arches you have the two diagrams. So ultimately these are not the three diagrams, these are the five diagrams. Okay, so you will have to practice these diagrams very well. Any doubt in this? Shall we go ahead? Now let us see the question number 4. Identify, sketch and label. Identify and describe mark portion in the given diagram. Now see, this one question have two questions. Identify, sketch and label. You will be given one diagram. Now see what diagram. It may be the vertebra of shark. It may be fin of shark. Now any fin, pectoral fin, pelvic fin. It may be the pectoral girdle or the pelvic girdle of a shark. You will ask to identify that particular diagram, sketch it again in your book and label it. Or they may ask you identify and describe the mark portion in the given diagram. So for that they will be giving you any portion. They may show you any diagram and that one portion will be labeled with the arrow and they may ask you to explain that particular portion only. Understand? In that case they will just see that you know about that particular portion or not, or in previous case they may ask you to identify, sketch and label a complete diagram. You have to identify. So here you have to practice skull or vertebra of shark, fin of shark, pectoral fin, pelvic fin, pectoral girdle, pelvic girdle. You have to practice this diagram as well for the question number 4. Now all these diagrams are very easy. Okay, and for that you will be getting 3 marks. Now see here, identify, sketch and label the mark particular portion. So in this is for 3 marks. So no bifurcation is there for this much marks, for that much marks. Field report and viva based on paper 1. Now see here, field report, certified field report, that means your teacher's sign is there, that will have 5 marks, and viva on based on paper 1. So here if it is asked based on paper 1, so for that you will be having the 5 marks. Paper 1 theory. I think here they should ask viva on the excursion only. They will ask viva on the excursion point. So 10 marks will be there. Journal with neatly drawn and labeled diagram. So journal with completion and certification, and you have the label diagram for that 10 marks. So any doubt in paper 1? As per the handbook they have changed. Field report 5 marks and excursion 5 marks. Viva was on the theory component 5 marks, journal 5 marks. Please note it. Field report, submission and discussion based on one field visit which is attended by the student to avoid disparity due to financial constraint. For that 5 marks on the this certified field report, 5 marks on the excursion report, or it depends on the examiner. Then you have the viva was, which is based on the this paper 1 theory component, and 5 marks on the neatly certified journal. So this is all about paper 1. Any doubt in paper 1? Please let me know if you have any doubt, and if you want any point to be explained again. If you don't have any doubt, I will go ahead on the paper 2 directly. Please respond. I don't want to wait and waste my time and your time as well, which is very crucial in exam period. Any doubt, anyone? Shall we go ahead on the paper 2? Okay. Let's move ahead on the paper 2 directly. Okay, thank you, Tasveer, for confirming. Let us start the paper two. Paper two timing is also 9:30 to 2:30. Now see, basically in paper two, what has happened that you will be given a protocol, so you think कि अभी इसमें तो कुछ नहीं पढ़ना है. This is the biggest mistake the students do. You should know the aim requirement principle. Now see, when I talk about the major practical, so we all know in that major practical you have this enzyme wala part, right? So in that a chemical reaction is there, so make sure that you will be practicing for that particular chemical reaction as well. So let us go ahead on the question number one. Question number one, major question: demonstrate the effect of substrate concentration, pH variation, enzyme concentration, inhibitor concentration on the activity of the enzyme acid phosphatase. Now see, this principle is very important, and everyone has to by heart that, because all four practical may you must know that the basic things students do not know. The examiner asks what is the substrate, what is the enzyme. So now see, here we are going to use the enzyme acid phosphatase, which is actually the lysosomal enzyme, and which here in this particular practical we are going to take the potato extract as an enzyme source. Okay, so your enzyme source is the potato extract. Your substrate is para-nitrophenyl phosphatase. Okay, which is basically a colorless substance, but it turns yellow into the alkaline medium. Now see that when you will be adding the enzyme, so enzyme is going to react with the substrate, so vary the that will vary the color combination. So this change into the color is noted by the absorbance. Now let us go ahead very fast on the protocol. Protocol will be given to you for the first practical: effect of varying enzyme concentration. This is your protocol. Your handbook protocol will be. Now see, you will be making the 6 test tubes. Out of that, one will be the blank. Okay, so this blank test tube will have the every chemical except your enzyme source. At the side of the enzyme source, you will, instead of enzyme source, you will be adding the distilled water. Now it is the varying substrate concentration. Just a just a minute. This is not varying substrate. This is varying pH. Sorry, varying pH. So make sure for this particular practical you will be given the different pH. So everyone will make sure that they will not mix the pipette of the different pH. Citrate buffer pH 3, pH 4, 4.86 and 7 will be given. Now here the optimum pH. How many points for description in question number 2? Description question number 2. Madhya, are you asking about paper 1? I will clarify this point at the end of the paper 2. Let me go into the flow with the paper 2 now. Okay, I will. You just post your doubts in the comment box. That all doubts will be clear at the end of the session. Okay, now we will have the paper 2 discussion. Okay, now see for varying pH only differ है बाकी सब same है. PNPP 1 ml you will have to take, and citrate buffer also you will be taking 1 ml, but only make sure in all 6 test tubes you will be taking the different. See, label the test tube very carefully. This is the biggest mistake, that you don't label it. You label the test tube stand and you don't label properly the test tube. Make sure that you will be labeling the test tubes very well. Label the test tube. In that number 1 you will be adding the pH 3, 2 में 4, third 4.8, 4th 6, 7. in the test tube number 5. Now, after that, you will be adding the potato extract. Now, see what students think कि चलो अभी जो पहले मिल रहा है वो डाल देते हैं. Please don't do this thing. Don't do this silly thing. First thing, you will have to take the substrate. After the substrate, you will be adding the buffer. Now, see the alkaline medium is very important, and to be very specific, pH 4.8 is one of the sorry, pH is very important for any enzymes to work. तो यहाँ पर जो है after that you are adding the citrate buffer. The buffer have a very important role because the enzyme shows its optimum activity at the pH 4.8. तो maximum activity जो आपको दिखने वाली है, please note it down that you are going to observe it in pH 4.8. Okay, so in rest, yeah, it is not like that the enzyme will not work, but it will not work that efficiently. So what you will be observed that as you are increasing the pH, 3 में आपको कम activity दिखा, 4 में maybe you may get a bit more activity. At 4.8 you must get the highest activity, and as you will raise the pH, so ultimately activity will decline. तो एक bell shape का जो है curve is expected. And make sure in this particular practical, it is expected that you should draw the graph. Now see what is the expected outcome. The optimum pH for acid phosphatase is 4.8. The enzyme activity is maximum at the optimum pH. Enzymes are protein, hence a change in pH medium affect positive and negative charges on the enzyme and substrate molecule, and thereby affecting the enzyme activity. A bell-shaped graph is obtained. This should be your answer also. That maximum activity is observed at the pH 4.8 and a bell-shaped graph is obtained when the activity is drawn on a graph paper. Now let's go on the practical 2. Effect of enzyme concentration, varying enzyme concentration. Now varying enzyme concentration. So यहाँ पर we are going to vary the amount of enzyme source. So what is the enzyme source? Potato extract. तो यहाँ पर क्या vary होने वाला है? The amount of potato source which is been added into your 6 test tubes. Here also again we are going to prepare the 6 test tubes. In that the now see we have to keep the quantity equal. Okay, so yeah, this is the best way to buy out your protocol. Question in that also you will be taking 1 ml PNPP, but here you will be adjusting the volume 3 ml by changing the pH buffer. Okay, so यहाँ पर 0.1 ml you are taking the potato extract, so 1.9 ml you will be taking the buffer. Okay, so this way you will be adjusting, and at once it is done, we all know that the substrate paranitrophenyl phosphatase, it is colorless. So यहाँ पर whatever activity is done, that activity you want to observe in terms of color. तो इसीलिए after once the activity is done, you will be adding the NaOH, because in the NaOH, after adding the NaOH, it is going to give the color. Now Amrin Sayyed is asking, for this experiments we only have to write principle, reading, outcome and graph. Yes. Yes, Amrin. See, for writing the principle, chemical reaction, all this you will be getting the 4 marks. For experimentation, making the proper observation table, you will be getting 4 marks. For making the graph and writing the result, you will be getting 4 marks. And for explanation, whatever questions asked to you, you will be answering, you will be getting the 3 marks. I repeat once again. Principal, chemical reaction 4 marks, experimentation, observation table 4 marks, graph and result 4 marks, and explanation 3 marks. Now see what marks I am telling. Arshi requirement is expected. I said writing principal, chemicals and whatever reaction. Chemicals are the requirement only. But in requirement, we basically want you to write the chemical requirement only, not all the requirement. Okay, you must know from the beginning only. मैं चिल्ला रही हूँ, आपको aim, requirement, principle पता होना चाहिए, right? You all remember, I hope. And see what marks I'm telling. Okay, this is having 4 marks, this is having the 4 marks. So this marks may vary also. In general, I'm talking about. It is an estimated कि आपको इतना इतना marks for this point you will be get this marks. This many marks are expected for this point. This many marks are expected. So these are the expected marks. So ये hard and fast इतना ही होगा नहीं है. Okay. So, for principal, chemicals requirement and reaction, you will be getting 4 marks. For doing the experimentation and making the observation table, you will be getting the 4 marks. Graph and result, you will be getting the 4 marks. And explanation, that is your table viva. When you are showing the reading and answer to the examiner, they may ask you 1 or 2 questions based on the practical. So for that you will be getting the 3 marks. It is estimated marks. चलो नेक्स्ट वाला देखते हैं. वेरी एंजाइम concentration में what we have done, that when you increase or when you enzyme concentration increase, that particular time you will be getting the more and more activity. So as you are increasing, why it is happening? Because increase when you will be adding the enzyme source. Enzyme source means the potato extract into the PNPP buffer. So that particular time, that whatever quantity of enzyme is there, immediately that start doing the reaction. But when you increase the concentration, the more enzyme, the more active site, more reaction will be done. So as you are increasing the enzyme concentration, what will happen, that the reaction will increase more and more. But एक point ऐसा आ जाएगा that all the enzymes will be engaged with the substrate. So at that particular point you will be getting a plateau. Okay. So here expected outcome, there is an increase in velocity of the reaction with increasing enzyme concentration as more active sites are available for binding the substrate. Finally, reaction reaches a plateau because no more substrate is available to bind to active site. Now see here maximum V max को mark करना रहेगा इस particular graph में. This is important point. Okay. So as in the previous graph we have marks the optimum pH. So here also you will be just drawing the V max. V max is observed so and so concentration. That means that much concentration is required. Chalo, let us go ahead. थर्ड प्रैक्टिकल है हमारा वेरिंग सबस्ट्रेट कंसंट्रेशन. बिल्कुल प्रीवियस जैसा ही रहेगा. ओनली हियर यू विल बी एडिंग द PNPP इन द डिफरेंट कंसंट्रेशन. एंड अगेन सीट्रेट बफर से उसकी जो है वॉल्यूम को एडजस्ट करना रहेगा. पॉइंट टू बी नोटेड कि यहाँ पर जो है OD 420 नैनोमीटर पे लेना रहेगा. वी विल नॉट गिव यू कि आपको कौन सा फिल्टर यूज करना है. यू शुड नो that we are taking the OD at 420 nanometer. And why we are going to take the OD at 420 nanometer? Because our solution is yellow in color. And about this filter and solution, I had already explained you into the regular practical, if you remember, that if what color solution, what filter to be chosen. Okay. Now see practical performing is same like previous. Only here we are going to varying the PNPP, but here we will draw one more graph. Here two graph will be there. One graph is your normal Michaelis-Menten graph. You will be plotting. When you will be plotting the Michaelis-Menten plot, here when you are marking the Vmax, make sure that you will also mark half of the Vmax. Okay, and wherever this half of the Vmax is touching to your plot, from that point you will be drawing a vertical line which will touch your x-axis, and where this point meets on the x-axis is your km. Okay, so point to be noted, the maximum enzyme activity which we are getting at half of the Vmax is equivalent to the km. Okay, so you will be marking the km. Same way Lineweaver bug plot, we all know Lineweaver bug plot is a double reciprocal plot. तो यहाँ पर double reciprocal means what, किस किस चीज का reciprocal लेना है, substrate concentration, all right, and OD, both reciprocal you will be taking, and after that you will be plotting a graph. When you will plot this particular graph, it is going to be a straight line, और जो है wherever this straight line is touching in your negative axis, that will be your km. Here expected outcome, as the substrate concentration increases, enzyme gets saturated with the substrate and maximum velocity of enzyme reaction is reached. Once maximum velocity is attained, there is no further change or increase in velocity. This type of phenomena is peculiar to the biocatalysis enzyme, whereas other catalysts do not get saturated with the substrate. Let's go ahead. Effect of inhibitor. Uh, the students, those who all will get the inhibitor question, so they make sure that they will be taking the two test tube stands because they require 12 test tube. One they will be preparing without inhibitor and one they will be preparing with the inhibitor. अब यहाँ पर अलग से आपको inhibitor नहीं मिलेगा. You will be having a secret buffer which will have the inhibitor mixed in that. Okay. So same practical है. This particular practical is as same as substrate wala practical. Only the thing is that you will be preparing the two sets of test tubes. Okay, and you will not draw the Lineweaver bug plot for this particular practical. The velocity of enzyme catalyzed reaction is affected by the inhibitor of KH2PO4. Now see KH2PO4, if you will see, it is a competitive inhibitor. Now we know competitive inhibitors are the inhibitor which have the structural similarity to the substrate. तो ये याद रखने वाली बात है that it will have the structural similarity. तो ये substrate analog रहेगा. It's a substrate analog, hence compete for the active side of the enzyme. Hence, uh, we can see the change in the graph when compared to the two side. तो यहाँ पर जो है, it is not going to affect the Km, but sorry, it is not going to affect the Vmax, but it is going to affect the Km. तो यहाँ पर जो है याद रखने वाली बात ये है that you will be getting the different Km for with inhibitor and without inhibitor. Is that clear? So this is about your major question. Question number one. No, you have one more practical, that is trypsinization. Okay, now when I talk about the trypsinization, the student, those who all will get the trypsinization, make sure that they will follow the aseptic technique which is taught in the regular practical. यहाँ पर जो है कुछ भी hurriedly नहीं करना है. Very coolly you will perform. Make sure whatever things you are taking, you will be taking it aseptically. Okay, and you will be performing it in, if we ask you to perform it into the laminar airflow, you have to perform it into the laminar airflow, or if you will be asked to do it on your table, so aseptically in between burner you will be performing it. Okay, so whatever the instructions will be given by the examiners to you. So trypsinization mein you will, it is expected isolation of the cell setup procedure. Following the procedure you will be getting the 6 marks, septic condition 4 marks. Results, now we all know that इसके results we are showing it into the neobar chamber, and after that explanation you will have 2 marks. Now see, whenever you are focusing it into the microscope, so make sure as you are seeing into the neo microscope. Before that you will be drawing the 16 cells on your paper, you will, and after that you will be going on the microscope. As you are watching the first chamber, immediately draw whatever live and dead cells you are getting. Okay, so don't go there, stand there, draw there. Before adjusting your slide, you make sure that you are ready with the 16 chamber in your answer book, and after that you will be observing your slide. And once you have charged the neobar chamber, immediately after that you will start counting the cells, because the you have to focus on the live cell, so immediately start counting the live cell. Okay, any doubt in question number 1? Okay, let me explain the protocol for the trypsinization also. We will go very quickly for the trypsinization. It is your last practical. Now see here, point to be noted, we are using the CMF PBS buffer. Why do we use the buffer? Because the buffer are very important to maintain the tissue into the isotonic condition. Okay, as well as it also prevent a good media. It acts as a good media which gives you a very protective environment to get the live cells, because our focus is getting the live cells. So आपको ऐसे expected है to get the more live cells and the less dead cells, and if you will do it properly, definitely you will be getting the more and more number of the live cells. So procedure: sterilize your hand with a 70% alcohol, take piece of tissue, kidney will be given to you in a sterilized petri dish, and add 5 ml of CMF PBS buffer aseptically. Mince the tissue properly with the help of the sterile scalpel blade to get the fine suspension. Transfer the suspension into the sterile centrifuge tube. All sterile equipments will be given to you. Don't worry about it. That is not your part. After that, you will be centrifuging the tube at the 1500 rotation per minute for 5 minutes to sediment the cell. Drain and discard the supernatant. Add 5 ml CMF PBS buffer, mix well and centrifuge again for 5 minutes. Drain and discard the supernatant. Again, now see, for this particular step, to avoid any contamination, we will be adding the CMF PBS antibiotic solution. First 2 time में आपने जो है normal CMF PBS buffer डाला. See, first you have taken a tissue, फिर उसको mince किया. After that 2 times you have added the CMF PBS buffer, but third time you are adding the CMF PBS antibiotic solution to avoid any sort of the contamination in that. And 5 ml of the trypsin solution. Why trypsin? Because trypsin, what is the trypsin actually? It helps the separation of the cells. Okay, it acts on the extracellular matrix and it separates the cell. तो इसीलिए हम लोग trypsin डाल रहे हैं. इसीलिए this particular technique को हम लोग जो है trypsinization बोलते हैं. Mix well, incubate the test tube 37 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes in the incubator. Centrifuge the tube at the 1500 rpm for the 5 minutes. Drain and discard the supernatant. Add 5 ml of BME solution. Now what is this BME? It is your media to keep the cell solution live. Gently aspirate. Aspirate मतलब you have to take it into the micropipette slowly. Micropipette, syringe, whatever. You have to take it into the micropipette slowly. Then you have to aspire it. मतलब उसको जो है you have to rinse again and again 2-3 times at least. You should do this, and after that filter the cell suspension through the cheesecloth and collect the filtrate. Point to be noted, you have to collect the filtrate this particular time in a sterile test tube. Take 1 ml of the filtrate in the fresh test tube and add 1 ml of trypan blue. Now trypan blue is a special type of stain which goes inside the dead cell. तो इसीलिए डेड सेल्स आपको जो है डार्क ब्लू या फिर ब्लैक जैसे नजर आएंगे माइक्रोस्कोप में, और जो इंटैक्ट सेल रहेंगे दैट प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन डू नॉट अलाउ द एंट्री ऑफ trypan blue inside. तो वो hollow नजर आएंगे. आई बात समझ में? After that you will be charging. Now everybody know how to charge the new bar chamber. That is not a very noble thing. See here, live cells ऐसे दिखेंगे, dead cells you will be observing that. So question number one. Any doubt? Shall we go ahead on the question number two now? Separate LDH isozymes from the given sample by agarose or the polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. Now see, in regular practical you all have done the this preparation of sample and all. यहाँ पर कुछ नहीं करना है. Here you will be given the ready-made gel to you all. Only you need to fill the wells with the micropipette, and after that that examiner is only going to separate the gels you will and stain the gels, and after that you will be asked to observe that particular bands. Okay, now this is for 10 marks. Here it is expected that student must know the electrophoresis principle. Then how, see, although you all are not preparing the gel here, but you must know what is the theory of the gel preparation. What for loading and staining you will be getting 3 marks, and explanation you will be getting the 2 marks. Now second, demonstrate the packaging of glassware for the tissue culture. Any three glassware will be given to you. In our syllabus hardly four glasswares are there. You have the pipette, test tube, then this conical flask and petri dish. तो यहाँ पर जो है ना, handling of glassware is very important. For that you have 3 marks. Procedure of packaging 5 marks, and for explanation you will have the 2 marks. Technique of aseptic transfer, procedure and handling 8 marks. Smoothness and skill that you are doing it, बातें करते करते कर रहे हो, कैसे कर रहे हो, that is also been observed, and for that you have a 10 marks. Let's go ahead on the next question. Identify and describe. Now here for A, B, C, D, E, for 5 specimen you have 15 marks, that means 3 marks each. So here for identification 1 marks, correct description and explanation. Now see how many points to be written is the question. Whenever you are writing the identification point, to make sure that you will start writing with the important point. Okay, whatever important point. Now see here, anatomy आपको पता होनी चाहिए, correct anatomy of that particular gland and important points of that particular gland. जैसे कि when I talk about the pituitary gland, you must know the cells of that particular gland, how it stains and all. Okay, so at least make sure when you are writing the description में, so for 2 marks you will be writing minimum 4 correct important point. कुछ भी point लिखा तो नहीं marks मिलेंगे. तो better if you are having time and you know the extra points, write it. Same for this Madiha, same for paper 1 also. Whenever you are writing the description is for 1 marks in paper 1 for question number 2. So with that time also you will be at least writing the 2 valid important point in the description. Okay? I hope your query is resolved. Now in E, you have to write about any instrument. तो सेम हियर इंस्ट्रूमेंट की फंक्शनिंग क्यों लगता है, what is the main important purpose, and what is the basic principle of that particular instrument. Okay, every instrument have one basic principle for functioning that is given in your description that you have to write. वाइवा बेस्ड ऑन द थ्योरी पढ़ के जाना है. ज़्यादातर क्वेश्चंस जो है you will have on the enzyme. Actually all units are important, but make sure that you will prepare very well questions which are related to the practical component also. Then you are certified journal 5 marks. So I hope all both the papers are clear to you all. If you have any doubt, please ask me right now, because I am ending the stream. I want you all to prepare for your exams very well. Any doubt, or should I end the stream? Please confirm it fast so that I can end the stream now. I wish you all the very best. Write your exam very nicely, and I hope you all will be in time for your exam. And if you have any query, you can ask me. You all know that I'm just with you all. Procedure, yes, yes, Rafia. Procedures will be given. Okay. Bye everyone. I wish you all the very very best for your exam. Focus on your exam. I hope you all are clear. आपको क्या पढ़ना है क्या नहीं पढ़ना है. And you are not left with any doubt. You are most welcome. Bye everyone. Have a good day ahead. So I am ending the stream. You are most welcome.